Hey everybody, my name's Sean. I'm from Z-Sigs. I'm here to talk to you today about the iCare. It is made by eLeaf. Now, this video is actually going to talk about the three different options of the iCare that you do have. We'll start, of course, off with the iCare Mini, and that is this little guy that you have right here. Very, very small unit. Put it in my hand, you can see how small it is. Your next option in this series that eLeaf is offering is, of course, the mini version, but with a PCC. So what this guy is that you see right here is the exact same unit I just showed you, but with a PCC. Okay. Your last but not least is, of course, just your regular iCare. This is the slightly larger model here. Now, functionality, they all work exactly the same. They all have the same wattage that they output. I believe it's about 15 watts, so it's not a ton that they actually do there. You're actually looking at your tank as far as how much is actually in the liquid that you can put in there. That's 1.8, so 1.8 milliliter on all of those. So that is all the exact same that you're looking at. Now, as far as battery life, independent from a PCC, this mini that you have right here, this guy right here is 320 mAh, so that's not a ton. Okay, that's mainly for a lighter user that you see right there. And with this little guy that you see right here, just a little bit bigger, this guy here is at 650 mAh. So it kind of gives you a lot of different options because that's where this comes into play. This PCC is 2300 mAh, so that's a lot of onboard storage. As you can see, it's pretty easy to put in there. You can hold it by the hand, and you have kind of the best of both worlds as far as that goes. Kind of just depends of what you're looking to use this specific unit for. Now, I like to say the pros and the cons of all these different units here. So hopefully I'm going to cover everything here for you. After that, we'll actually get into unboxing one of these, putting it together and showing you how it works. Now, what's very unique about these is not only their size that you're looking at, but as far as pros go on this specific model here is this is an automatic device. What I mean by that is there's no buttons to push. You just put it to your mouth and you inhale. It's just that simple. Previously, there's a lot of issues within the industry as far as what was called the automatic systems. I do know that some of your big tobacco brands do have those, but a lot of people in that cigarette design, they had a lot of concerns because there were possibilities on some of the models that you could have some of your e-liquid literally leach into the lithium ion, which of course had some concerns for a lot of people. I could really see that. Also, we had a lot of issues with them going off automatically. They would be going off automatically from loud music, things of that nature. So we really didn't see a very successful automatic unit until this guy has come out. And I really like to, of course, with us, focus on the whole spectrum of electronic cigarettes. We just keep on seeing units getting larger and larger and larger. It is kind of nice to show you that something that's small that is very effective and that works. And what's nice with this is it looks like all of the different technology, all of the advancements really were focused in on these little devices that you see. And like I say, boy, you got that. So pro as far as this one, automatic. That's very easy. Filling, it is a top fill design, so that's very nice. That's another pro that I like to look. You have a very easy view window as far as that goes there. You can see that. Of course, with this model, the slightly larger guy, both exactly the same. Very simple, where you don't have any wattage, no buttons, nothing like that. It's just exactly what it looks like. So that's your pro as far as this model is obviously the size, wins out without a problem. The liquid on board. The coil head on this guy right here, it's a 1.1, does very nice. This is what I like to call a classic vape, okay? A classic vape, or how it's also put into the industry right now, a MTL. You kind of will see this the more and more that you're looking around. It'll say either an MTL, coil head, or a DL. I know I've mentioned this in other videos. It may seem repetitive, but I will mention it now. MTL stands for mouth to lung. The more old style, classic style of vaping was a lot of the units back in the day, some of them weren't powered as much, and you kind of would sit there and you would let the vapor collect within your mouth. You inhale and inhale and inhale, and then you drop it down in your lungs. That's called mouth to lung because you've brought all the vapor into your mouth. Now you've dropped it down in your lung. Now you have the DL, which means direct lung. It mimics kind of like what a cigarette is, where you just inhale right away. And those are the more powerful units and the more powerful coils. This guy here is more of your classic, okay? But with classic or, the alternative that I'm talking about, there's always pros and cons to even that vaping that you're looking at. This one here, it kind of balances the flavor and the vapor. It's not, blow your socks off type of a unit. But if you're somebody who's a lighter user, this one really could be a great fit for you. If you're somebody who's a real heavy user, maybe not so much. However, this one here also slides into a different category, and that is more of what we kind of call stealth vaping. If you do vape quite a bit, you notice that in this day and age, pretty much everywhere you go, public areas, they don't want you to be using electronic cigarettes. They've just associated it with tobacco, and they've thrown us all into the same lump. As painful as that can be for a lot of people, you also notice that you could be told by a waitress or something like that. It can be embarrassing. With these units here, this is as stealth as it gets. You can't really see it in a hand. If you have been if you have been using vapor product for a while, you understand that after you've inhaled, if you hold it for a little bit, not too much comes out because it dissipates in your lungs. So this is a perfect stealth e-cig that I like to talk about. Very interesting. A friend of mine, Diego, he uses some of the really larger units. He rebuilds all of his stuff. He's that classic cloud chaser vapor. However, he's found that he really enjoys this unit. He just went to California, and through his travels, he didn't get any bothersome, and it still gave him that satisfaction that you're looking at. So this isn't going to give you that rock'em sock'em that some of these other units can do nowadays, but it's very consistent. Quality is awesome. I mean, you can't feel it the way I am right now, but it does have a good weight to it. It's not too heavy that you're looking at, and it really is just a simple unit. You can, of course, like I say, go with just this small guy right here. Of course, the other option is a little bit larger, and it just depends kind of like hand, too. I mean, for me personally, I kind of like this one because I have bigger hands. With this one here, if you have a little bit smaller hands or if you're a gal, this could be really perfect for you. Of course, getting into that PCC, this kind of puts everything in all worlds as far as your battery life, because like I said, this guy here, 320 mAh, isn't going to last you very long. You might be yelling at me right now going, but how long is too long? There's too many variables to tell you. It depends on how often you inhale, how long you inhale for, all these other things. Really, it's to each personal habit of how long a specific device is going to use you, depending on how long you inhale for and all these other good things. But I can tell you that with this one here, if you're somebody smoking like a pack a day of cigarettes, this isn't going to cut it without you charging it all the time. Now, fortunately, all of these guys that you do see right here, these are all what's called USB PTCs in their own right. What I mean by that is you can plug this guy in and you can actually vape on it while it's charging. So that is a nice thing that you see there. That kind of talks about these too. Getting back to this guy, this is nice because you can literally charge this offside, while you're actually using this one. You can charge it all together overnight, whatever you want. But, like I said, 320 mAh, 650, which is pretty much double, or 2300. So this all on its own should last anybody the entire day, and then you have that flexibility of the both. So it's really nice that they came out with these three different versions. If you're somebody just wanting to do a stealth version, you don't want to spend a little bit extra money for the PCC, you just stick with this one. Now let's get into the actual device itself. Well, we talked about the pros. Let's talk about cons real quick. So cons, I kind of was already talking about that. Very limited battery life. Of course, you're not looking at different voltage settings, things of that nature. So it's kind of whatever the unit does for you, either you're going to like it or not. However, it does have airflow control, which is a pro, but kind of talking about the cons, I mean, really, that's kind of the only thing I see is it is what it is. I mean, you're not going to get some fantastic, huge plumes of vapor, things of that nature. But I think just by looking at this unit, you could see where it really fits in within personal habits. Now on that one, that kind of covers the con. Let's just go through the box really quickly. Like I said, these are all pretty much the same units. This one does have the PCC in there, but what you're finding in the box on all of these units is going to be all the exact same. So first thing that you are going to find is, of course, your micro USB. This is your charging that you do have. You're not seeing the wall chargers anymore, folks. They're just not doing it. You can't always get one on the side, but what I mean by that is a USB 2 wall. A lot of people like that back in the day. Of course, you do have your manual. I always suggest reading your manual thoroughly as far as that goes, and it does include 2 of these 1.1 coils. They're very small little coils that you can see because it is a smaller device. So that kind of tells you what's actually literally in the box. Now let's get into the unit itself. All right. So on this one here, I'm going to use the 650 because the 650 mAh one there, because it's just going to be a little bit easier for me to show you, I think, on film. On this guy right here, I did say that it's a top fill, and what you just simply do is you literally just pop this guy off just like so. So I just popped it on off. As I pop this off, I want to mention something very specific, okay? Now, first thing is, if you look here, you're going to see that you have 3 different kind of style notches. Now, this silver ring one here that you see, that's going to go on your sensor, your automatic sensor. The middle one that you're looking at right there, there it is, the middle one, it's more of a square. This is what we're actually going to use to open up the actual unit to put the liquid in there, and we're going to show that in a second. The last thing before we do this that I do want to mention with this is, number one, you want to be careful how you close this, and having that little metal ring in there, you know how it goes down in there now. But also, you really can't see it, but written extremely small there is, please do not touch that sensor. And that is a big deal. You don't want to be messing with the sensor. This is that automatic sensor that allows you to automatically vape on this without hitting a button. They've done a really great job with technology. I personally have been using one of these units now on and off for about, over 2 weeks. And it hasn't misfired. I haven't had any kind of issues as far as that goes. So I'm really, really liking that. So that is your sensor. Don't touch that. Okay. All right. Now, here we have where the liquid is going to go. And what it is you actually have a rod here. At the very end of it is where the coil is actually going to go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that square piece, because it just fits right over. So I'll show you guys that again. Just like this. And now counterclockwise, I'm going to unscrew. You can do it kind of by hand, but it's probably going to be pretty difficult and pretty tight. So that just kind of helps you as far as loosening it, and if you want to tighten it extra tight. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this guy on out here. And now this is your shaft. This is where the coil is going to go. One thing that I'll mention as far as filling the liquid, it is pretty easy. You do have a fill line on here, so that's pretty nice. I think you guys could see that white line there. So as far as actually putting the liquid on there, let me get one of your coils. Like I said, these are kind of small coils here, but there's your coil. Now, it's very important to prime your coil. This goes for every electronic cigarette unit you have. Some of them are a little bit different as far as how you actually do it. On this guy here, you have your coil head. Usually, sometimes you can actually see the cotton. This one is so small that you can't really even see that. And simply all you do is priming. Why priming is important is you want to give that cotton that's within there time to absorb the liquid. If you do not, and you just put this guy in there, fill the tank, close it, and inhale, you're going to get a burnt, harsh taste. You're going to get some leakage issues. And the reason for that is you've burnt that cotton. You didn't give it time to actually absorb. So always make sure to do that, okay, everybody? And it's just very simple to do. What you do on this one right here is you can get 4 drops in here. You're just going to have to wait a little bit longer. What happens is you'll go and you'll put 1 drop in there, give it a minute, let it, so you see that it's actually sank in there and that it's absorbed. Do another drop, let it absorb, do another drop, let it absorb. It's about 4 drops, okay? It depends on the bottle that you're using, but for me it was 4 drops. It just screws on very, very simply there. So now we've primed that. Your next step that you'd actually do now is you'd actually fill this on up. So right there, very, very easy. Just put the bottle, fill it up to the line. After you've done that, now, last step, I'm about to put it in there. Not so fast. I want to mention one other thing. Remember how I said that this model here has airflow control? Your airflow control is hidden on your shaft right there. So right there, you have your different holes. Can you see that? And it's pretty easy. You just manually move it by hand, and it might be a little bit hard to see there, but you got your 4 little holes, and you just kind of turn it, and you can physically see where you're actually at. Me personally, I kind of like it at 1.5 holes open. That all is your personal preference. It's going to change the draw. It's going to taste how the vapor actually tastes there. With this here, it is kind of a con that it's a little bit annoying that it's in this section here, but when you're dealing with this kind of a small size, you're going to have some give and take, and I don't really think that it's that bad. You can't really change your airflow on the fly. You're going to actually have to go in here, but it's not too hard because I've been messing with it myself too. So what has happened is now I'll put that airflow control where I think it's at. If you have it all the way closed and you try to inhale, you're not going to get anything. So that's also a tech tip, I guess, that it is there. But you could try it maybe all the way open in the very beginning where you can actually see that all 5 of the holes are open. Next thing that you do is, let me just show that on camera, drop that down clockwise for your tightening. And if you want to just do an extra little snug, I would not crank down on these, okay? But if you want to do a little bit, just a little, that's up to you. Finger tight, I have found, has worked that you have there too. And then you just put this guy back on there, and then you inhale. Now, if you've noticed that the airflow isn't exactly where you want it, all you have to do is just open it up. And you don't even have to pull it all the way back out, just enough to get to your airflow control again, move it a little bit, drop it back in there. You're going to find it pretty quickly, but that airflow control is in there. It is very, very nice in this specific little unit, and that's it. It's just that easy. I mean, it's not a lot of bells and whistles. I mean, we do know that, but it definitely, for what it is, works extremely well. So if you're looking for a nice little unit, not very expensive either, eLeaf has been really coming out with some great products over the years here. They've really become one of the industry leaders. They're right there with Joytech or Kangertech, all the different ones. But like I said, everybody, this is your eLeaf iCare.